This is Mike Greenberg for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
And now, at last,
it's time for the Redhawks Coaches Show on the SEMO ESPN Radio Sports Network.
I have more to tell you.
The Southeast Coaches Show airs every Tuesday at noon on ESPN 92.9 FM and 1220 AM. Live from Wings, etc. in Cape and Jackson. This is your chance to delve deep into the Redhawks football season with head coach Tom Matukowicz.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
let's go live to Wings, etc.
Let's go!
Right here on SEMO ESPN.
And welcome in another edition of the Redhawks Coaches Show. We are at Wings, etc. in Cape Girardeau. Really, it's our next to last. Well, it's our last full football coaches show. We're in the Jackson location. We'll be back in Cape next week, and we'll have a split show next week, half football and then half basketball as we talk with Coach Tuke and wrap up the regular season. And then we'll get a chance to delve into some basketball. The Red Hawk basketball team, the men's team, gets on a bus just right after we're done with this show. Pack up and head to the bus and head out to a two-city, 4-day road trip. Want to remind you, good food, great times. That's Wings, etc. Their award-winning Jumbo Wings have been awarded Best Wings in Southeast Missouri by the Southeast Missourian People's Choice Award. You can dine in. You can carry out. We, of course, invite you to dine in with us. You can enjoy all of the flat-screen televisions tuned to the best sporting events. Their menu is not only wings, but also freshly made burgers. They have wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, smoked ribs. If you want to try their appetizer lineup, we suggest the ultimate nachos and the deep-fried pickle spears. It's Wings, etc., hosting the Coaches Show. And the Redhawks head football coach, Tom Matukowicz, is here. We're going to talk with Redhawks offensive lineman Drew Forbes coming up in just a couple of minutes, a guy who is starting at left tackle and just a sophomore. So we'll talk with him coming up. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. You know, I was about Monday, about noon is when I stopped feeling sorry for myself. And certainly you come off with a loss like that and to have the incident afterwards, and you get home and you just start wondering about a lot of things. And then it just finally woke up. You know, half the people don't care the problems you're having, and the other half actually are glad you're having the problems you're having. And so, you know, just kind of got my mind back to doing what I was hired to do, is coach this football team. And, you know, today's I'm ready to get my team. I'm ready to coach them and, you know, finish this season out with a W. But it was certainly, you know, it's been a difficult season up to this point. You know, I'm certainly not embarrassed by what we've done, but I'm disappointed that we haven't had more success. But, you know, I got to listen to myself. You know, the success comes from when you handle the process, and we'll get the kind of results we're looking for. And so I just got to keep working, keep plugging, and same message to our team.
It was just about 30 seconds after the game, but it's going to impact this next game in a small way. The two teams were in the handshake line after the game, and I don't know if something was said. There was some shoving. Anyway, so everybody goes into pushing and shoving. It was kind of right below the press box. I had a pretty good look at it. I saw a white helmet being swung, and, you know, UT Martin's wearing the white helmets. But a lot of people got engaged. I don't think anybody got injured in the play. I know the video was sent to the Ohio Valley Conference office. What did you see? What did your players tell you? And what did the league office have to say about it?
Well, we talked about it, and both coaches visited after the game and talked with the commissioner. And it was certainly not one-sided. You know, two players got into it and got into a pushing match, and then all of a sudden everybody joined in, so it escalated. No one got hurt. One of their players and one of our players will be suspended for a half, Eric Moore, who's a great kid, and, you know, no one feels worse about it than him. But
we've had him on this show.
Yeah, he's a great kid, and, you know, it's a heated moment. Someone gets in your face and you don't have the discipline to not act in a violent manner. You know, you have that price to pay. But I'm thankful, and I really, you know, Brady and I both voiced our opinion on the fact that you shouldn't take his whole senior year away or his last senior game of his senior year away. Sure. And so they agreed with that. Both UT Martin, running back that's a senior, will be suspended in the first half, and ours will be suspended for the first half. And then we're moving on. It's just like anything in lesson with the team was, it's an opportunity to talk about how violence ain't the answer, and you see games all the time. It always starts with what? We call it trash talking or whatever that is, where they think that's no big deal. And you got a 12-year-old that wants to talk trash. It is a big deal because it escalates thing, and words are a big deal. And so you let someone affect you, you let somebody control you by trash talk, and then all of a sudden you're not in control of your emotions and something bad happens. And so it's a good opportunity to talk about. It's a great opportunity to learn from. And I'm pretty positive it won't happen again. And I'm pretty positive this Saturday won't be a personal foul, because if there is, I'll be the one suspended for the next game.
LaDevin Fair is the name of the running back for UT Martin, and he's a big part of their offense. Yeah. LaDevin Fair. Now they've got two running backs that they use pretty much equally, but he's been a big piece for them, and they've got to go to Jacksonville State. They could win the conference championship, at least a share of it. Yeah. And with the tiebreaker, they could get the automatic bid. Now, Jacksonville's going to the playoffs either way.
Yeah. That's going to be a great game to watch, and they both earned that opportunity to play for it. And it's good for our league that the last game of the year, the conference is decided. So that's good. And I think when I look back at the conference and who we played, I think both teams are probably the best two teams in the conference. I was asked today who I thought would have success or whatever. I think you got to give the edge to Jacksonville, because that's just a tough road trip. I think Jacksonville plays really well at home, their fan base and all those things. So that's where I'd give the edge to. But certainly be looking forward to that score after our game.
I think after being in the league for quite a while and making that trip down to Jacksonville, I think for a game like this, if I'm Martin, I leave on Thursday. I get down there and we get set up and we kind of, decompress for an extra day. Mm-hmm. Are you allowed to leave on a Thursday? Yep. I think that is one trip, considering everything that's on the line, and you don't want to, you want to take away any type of fatigue or bus travel and, tired legs. Is that something you'd think about if it was a big game like that?
As coaches, you got to running a football program, there's so many variables, because you look at, you're going to take them out of class another day. You're getting into where now it's crunch time, finals and all that stuff. So, but what about a routine? Like now I'm not in my routine. I'm sleeping in a different bed 2 straight nights. There's just a lot to factors you got to really play.
So there's some things that would kind of vote against taking an extra day.
Well, I just think you got to look at both sides, and it's not just easy. I think what would be easy is get on a plane.
That'd be great.
Friday morning or Friday afternoon, you fly down there, and then you don't have worries either way. But if that's not an option, you just got to really think about that. And I have a general philosophy on it that helps me make those decisions. I don't like our players missing class. That's a team rule. Go to class, and then I say, hey, I'm taking you out because it's a big game. I mean, then what am I going to tell them? Go to class? So you got to really decide philosophy, what you're all about. And I also just believe young people are better in a routine. Just a constant routine. When they get out of a routine, I feel like they get uncomfortable. So I think it's just something you got to decide. But certainly a big factor this weekend for an OVC title for UT Martin.
And for anybody who's never been to Jacksonville Stadium, is it fair to say it is an SEC-like atmosphere, SEC-like stadium, only it's smaller?
Yep.
But I mean, it's built almost like an SEC stadium. I mean, it's a big time venue.
It really is. I think people don't realize when there's no track and it's really tight sidelines, the environment escalates, because that noise and the fans and the band and everything's right there on you. And so if you get it rolling, it's hard. Last year, or I guess 2 years ago, or when we played there last, they had a penalty because their band was playing through third down. Our quarterback was trying to, there's some home stuff they get you on too. That's part of playing on the road. So all of these factors really go into effect there.
That used to be a problem at Tennessee State, man. That band would never stop, and coach would have to call timeout and say, hey, what are we doing? Tell the band to shut it down.
No, I know a lot of people say they have a football team so they can have a band.
they've got
their band is
it's
a
like
big time.
300
Yeah,
members.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah, they do a good job. They're not coming, as far as I'm aware, to our game, but they are a factor.
They've got a really good band, Tennessee State. They'll be here at 1:00 on Saturday. Before we get into your game, I just want to, it is the OVC championship. We just saw both of these teams, Jacksonville and Tennessee Martin. I think it's safe to say Martin's chances would be higher if they're playing it at Graham Stadium, but they're not. They're headed south, and they'll play in Jacksonville. Two very similar defenses, stifling against the run. Maybe UT Martin gives up a little bit more through the air. I think in terms of talent level on offense, maybe the nod goes to Jacksonville State. What do you think? How does this thing play out? And were these the best two defenses that you saw this year?
Yeah, that part's easy. They do a really good job on defense. They got really good skill. They get you out of the run game, make you throw it. We had 2 picks. They had interceptions against us. So, I'm almost positive it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I think it just goes back to the same things that consistently win and lose your championships is the fact that, whoever wins the turnover margin is probably going to get the nod there. You can't give up the big play because I don't think you're going to consistently on either side just drive it. And so whoever can limit a big play is probably, has the best chances of winning.
And one variable is the one quarterback when a play breaks down that can beat you more often is Eli Jenkins. Now, Troy Cook's a good athlete, but he's not a guy that is going to rip off 35 yards if a play breaks down. Jenkins can.
Yeah. Roster-wise, it's not even close. It wasn't close with us, but it was a close game. So, there's some things there about,
Sure.
It's not just talent. It's about who plays better, who doesn't beat themselves, don't do stupid things, all those things that come into play, but certainly Jacksonville State has as good a talent as I would imagine any FCS program.
And the numbers say UT Martin, now they took care of the ball against you, but they haven't taken care of the ball consistently. Jacksonville takes care of the ball, but they commit a lot of penalties. It wasn't just the game against you. They had committed the second most penalties in the league prior to the 16 they committed against you. So that is a consistent thing with them. And one of these times in a close game, it could cost them a football game.
Absolutely. Could have cost them ours. They're kicking off from the 20-yard line instead of 35-yard line twice because they celebrated after a touchdown and stuff like that. And so those will get you when the margins are closer.
I would have loved to have seen. They haven't really faced a lot of adversity. Had that flag not been thrown on your kickoff return and you're 17-17, it very easily could have been there late in the football game. Would have been interesting to see. Their quarterback was a little banged up.
Yep.
They really haven't faced adversity this year. And you can have all the talent in the world, but you, as a coach, do you really know how your team is going to respond when you're in a really tight adversarial-filled game? You really don't know until you're there, right?
No, you can't create game-like situations like that because you put it in practice, but it ain't. The game's not on the line. Yeah. And so, you find out the character of your football team. And so that was our goal, was to get it just to a fourth quarter game. If you're in a fourth quarter game, now it could go either way. We've experienced that. Even though we've been in control of a game, it's come down to one possession that sometimes we won, sometimes we didn't. So same thing with Jacksonville. If UT Martin could get it down to one score game in the fourth, then that's anybody's game. And now all the little things could really show up.
What were your first impressions after the game ended? Obviously immediately now you're distracted. Hey, we got some extracurriculars here. But what were your impressions? You were on the bus coming back from UT Martin. What were the things that were jumping out at you about the game with the Skyhawks?
Well, after the game, I was just, I was pissed and just, I was eating a lot of food, trying to make myself feel better. I mean,
Emotional hunger. That's good.
Yeah, I was emotionally, just having a pity party, but think about a pity party, no one shows up and no one cares. So, kind of got moved on and just put the focus on my team. And that's what I love doing is building teams, relationships, trying to get them to understand what it takes to have success. And so, like I said, it immediately went to that. I thought defensively, it was the big play that otherwise we had a great performance. I thought special teams was solid, not great. Offensively, I feel like we took a step back. We had been trending until, you go up against Jacksonville State and a lot of people going to look bad, but we kind of lost our way there a little bit. And we got to get that back. We got to, one thing I feel like on offense is we need to, everybody has an opinion and all 11 players think they should be the play caller. And that's kind of our problem. We got one guy's job to call plays, and the rest of these guys need to do their job. We have 8 drop passes in the first half. We have 2 offside penalties and a 2-minute drive. Just things like that still points to the fact that on offense, that culture still hasn't turned, and we got to get it there about not making excuses and do your job. And so that's the message. And I think we'll find out this weekend because Tennessee State's a good opponent. They're a quality opponent, definitely a winnable game. And we got a choice to make, how we respond to practice week and what our energy level, what our attitude is. And, it's going to be a fun week. And I really going to challenge our guys, and I really believe they're going to step up and respond.
What's interesting about your offense is more often than not, you start well in a football game. I mean, how many times have you taken the opening possession and gotten points, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal? That's usually the norm. You usually, get going with a little momentum. In this particular game, you start 0 for 8 in the passing department, but from what I saw, 6 of those 8 incompletions hit receivers' hands. Now, one of them would have been a one-handed catch by Christian, so that it's kind of hard to call that a drop. But the other 5 of the first 8, you actually had receivers get 2 hands on the football. Is that what you saw?
Yep, exactly right. I mean, and every one of those are 0 for yards, so you're behind the chains, and so we got to get out of our own way and just do a better job. I think every single person, me including, and so we got to have a great plan this week and just get everybody dialed into the plan.
And if you're the quarterback, I don't know what goes through a guy's mind, but he's probably thinking, man, that's about as good as I could throw it. I put it there. And then you look at the final passing numbers, 13 of 38. Well, you got to look at the balls that were probably catchable. These are Division I receivers. You got some good receivers. And then, he was facing a lot of heat. And pretty much what happens is when he's out of the pocket, he's going to dump it off, to not take the big loss, throw it out of bounds. That goes as an incompletion, but you live the fight another down. So the completion numbers might look a little skewed because there were a lot of balls he just had to throw away or take a 15-yard sack.
Yeah. And so my message to Jesse would be the same message it is to everybody else. We have a concept here called no BCD. Don't blame, complain, and defend. Live above the line. All right. And so Jesse's response should be, man, I should have put it a little better.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, why didn't you catch the ball? Or, hey, man, I got no protection. It needs to be, what am I in control of? Man, I wish I'd have put the ball just maybe a little bit better. And then same way with the wideouts, same way with the offensive line. Like we all could do better. And so our focus can't be on blame. Our focus needs to be on responsibility, accountability, and what is my role in each and every play.
Christian Wilkerson, again, he made a highlight reel catch, man. He made a one-handed grab over the middle. That's as good a catch as I think he's made this year. But once again, Coach, when the final numbers are all sorted out, 131 receiving yards for Christian Wilkerson. Man, he looks like he is an impact guy, just a freshman.
Yeah, really proud of him. Someone told me a stat today, he's number 2 in the country in yards per catch.
He's always catching 40-yard passes.
Because they're big balls, and obviously that's more of who we are. We want to try to, be balanced, but most of our passing game is down the field, and so that lends to that. But he's been able to catch those difficult balls. Like those are hard to catch.
Oh, yeah.
They're way down the field, and he's done a great job, and I know he'll continue to improve, but it just feels good that you see a guy taking advantage of his opportunity.
And you got the running game going in this game. You relied on Tremaine a little bit more. He had 8 carries, and he was effective against the number 2 ranked rush defense in the league. Only Jacksonville has more success stopping the run. But 69 yards rushing for Tremaine on 8 carries. He averaged almost 9 yards per carry. And then Will Young was 61 yards. So you ran the ball 128 yards against UT Martin. That's you're more used to that than what you saw against Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly. I think we that's our plan. Like, we got to get Tremaine and we got to get Will going. Like, when we have success on offense, it starts with running the ball, and so that we got to be able to do that. And Tremaine and Will are, they complement each other. But I think Tremaine needs to touch the ball more because he is that impact player. Because it may get tripped up easy because he's not that big, but he's also a guy that can turn a 6-yard play into a 60-yard play, which we need. And so we really got to get those two guys going. This guy here you're going to hear from in a minute is a big part of that. They got to really control the line of scrimmage and get those guys. If they could get them to the safety level, then we're going to have a great day. And so they got to really handle that box up front.
And Chase Abington, there was a question about whether or not he'd play. He did get in for a few plays, and I know he was on special teams. He's a big part of your special teams unit, but he had an ankle, so that probably limited his availability and effectiveness. But hopefully he'll be feeling a lot better on Saturday. Yeah, exactly right. He's still banged up a little bit, but I think he'll be able to have a full recovery now as long as he doesn't get banged up again. All right. They came into the game with a reputation, the #1 kick coverage unit in the OVC. Part of that is the kicker. They got a strong-legged kicker. He puts it very high, gives the team an opportunity to get down there and cover kicks. That's as good as your kickoff has been defended, I thought, this year, that team. Yeah, they did a great job. They had a very quality scheme. They had a kicker to execute the scheme, and they kind of kicked away from our return, and we didn't have a great answer for that. And so we got to make sure we get that back rolling, because I do think Cam and a lot of those guys can really affect the game. Well, you've got the best kickoff return unit in the league. Yeah, and so we got to do a good job. But certainly you got to give credit to UT Martin. They're very well coached. Their special teams coordinator did a very nice job, and for the most part limited us a little bit. We did get a couple of returns, and of course our punt game, net punt, was way better. But just got to keep going. All right, the thoughts on what you saw from them offensively in the football game. Troy Cook, a guy that transferred from Florida State. He was on the national championship team with Jameis Winston. He was on the next team that went 13-1, and I think lost to Oregon in the semifinals of the college football playoff. So he's been around, some really talented individuals and has a championship ring. And he's a guy, boy, he makes a lot of plays, doesn't he? I mean, he's not like Eli Jenkins where he can take off and start running and making plays, but he made a lot of good throws, I thought. Yeah, I agree with you. They were the #1 third down offense in the conference, and also in red zone. That tells you a lot about his decision making, his ability to check plays, and we actually held him on third down at the lowest total. 5 of 16. I mean, you did as good a job on third down as any team has against them. And so if you take away the 3 plays, they had a long pass that they subbed, we subbed. We thought they were going to step over the ball. They didn't, so our players weren't in great situations on. And then we missed 2 tackles that got a long run. Other than that, I mean, it was a really good performance on defense. And the guy just did a really good job of not throwing bad balls. He had done that a little bit and had some turnovers, but those coaches got him better, and he took it off the film. All right, the offensive line, and we're going to talk with Drew Forbes coming up in just a couple of minutes. So what was the recruiting process with Drew? He's not far away in North County High School up in Bonne Terre. Tell us about recruiting Drew, how he jumped onto your radar. Well, he came to camp and kind of immediately fell in love with his family, and obviously we're committed locally. I do a lot of the recruiting locally because I'm the one that when I go down to Rhodes or anything, every Tom, Dick, and Harry's telling me about Joe Blow and everybody else, so I might as well handle it. So I really handled a lot of the recruiting with Forbes, and very athletic family, and he was actually a really good basketball player. There's a great clip, I wish you could pull it up, of him
handling the ball and a guy trying to take a charge on him, and it didn't go well for him. But I seen him play. I forget, maybe it was Fredericktown. I forget the game I came and watched. The guy he's trying to block's like 160 pounds, and the guy's just literally just trying to run away from Forbes. And I was with another guy, and the guy that was with me, he said, "Hey, who we looking at?" And I said, "Well, buddy, if you can't tell, then I need to not look." And he looked out there, and he goes, "Oh, the right tackle there." And I said, "Yeah." So that was good that we were able to point him out. Very proud of him. He played as a true freshman, started every single game this year, and I think will be an all OVC player, and just proud that he wanted to stay home. SIU offered him and really recruited him, and I just really felt like he was loyal to us, and we've been loyal to him, and so I really appreciate him, and he's an outstanding talent and also a great kid.
So he was a right tackle in high school, and you moved him to left tackle.
Well, he came in as a right tackle, as a true freshman, played in at right tackle, and then this offseason we moved.
That's when you made the switch, yeah. Because last year, I think Alex Snyder started every game at left tackle, right?
Tackle.
So you guys made the switch. Is that? We'll ask him. Is that a big switch?
I think you have to ask him. I think there's still a lot in his game, can get a lot better, but he is one of the strongest human beings alive. Before every meeting, we have a competition, arm wrestling competition, and he's undefeated.
So Josh Wilson can't take him.
Him and Josh. So we had the big match, because everybody's all excited about him and J-Dub because they're like could lift up this truck I'm driving.
Right.
And I mean, it was like this.
That was it.
And everybody had that big eye emoji or whatever. The one where you text people with the big eyes. When he got done, I mean, he just put him down. It was pretty obviously that he is the kind of the cream of the crop as far as strength in our football team. But, like I said, it's just, he's a great example of comes from a great family, just hardworking, the values you want. Academically, he competes in the classroom. He's one of the nicest kids there is. He might be a little too nice. We've had to get him going a little bit too.
I was going to say, you don't want an offensive lineman that doesn't have a little mean streak in him, right?
Well, and he does. But like I said, just want to celebrate him and just make sure he knows just how appreciative that we all are that he plays for the Redhawks and he represents not only me but our football team.
Now, is that unusual to have your top offensive lineman who is a tackle not be a left tackle? Did you have a left-handed quarterback in high school? Is that unusual? Is your philosophy, hey, let's put our guy who's going to protect the blind side of the quarterback, or does that vary?
Well, if you're, in high school, we ain't throwing it.
I got, he was
they
run it a lot.
Yeah, he was there to mash faces. He wasn't there to protect anybody. They're just going to run right over top of him.
That's right. Jackson played North County a little bit. I remember they've got a good running offense. All right, we'll talk with Drew Forbes when we come back. Let's take a time out. We're at the Jackson Wings, etc. location. Don't forget, we'll be back in Cape next week where we'll have half football and half basketball. Drew Forbes will join us when we come back. Wings, etc. It's the Redhawks Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN.
See, Wings Etc. has those award-winning jumbo wings. They're popular for both dine-in and carry-out. Now, the word is getting out about Wings Etc.'s appetizer lineup. From the ultimate nachos to the deep-fried pickle spears, frankly, they're irresistible. Friends are sharing time together at Wings Etc. They've got dining rooms filled with HD TVs tuned to the best sports programming, including NFL Sunday Ticket. The people at the next table are talking about Wings Etc.'s daily half-pound lunch special, starting at just $6.49. Plus, Wings Etc. has food and drink specials throughout the week, including 59-cent wings every Monday. Plus, there's the kids menu, and Wings Etc. is family-friendly with video games in the dining room. And the whole community is excited about how Wings Etc. is locally owned and operated, and they're proud to support local athletes, their families, schools, and teams. I guess Wings Etc. is a really big deal around here.
So on Friday nights now, I'm Eric Shawn with your Redhawks Minute, presented by Southeast Health. When cost and quality matter, choose Southeast Health. The Redhawks women's basketball team has its first win of the new season. Southeast rolled to a 99-52 victory over Hannibal LaGrange at the Show Me Center. Those 99 points are the most for a Redhawk team in 10 years. Southeast shot a sizzling 63% from the field and put 6 players in double figures, led by Deja Jones, who pumped in 24 points and grabbed 9 rebounds. Point guard Adriana Murphy finished with 7 points, 9 boards, and a career-high 14 assists. Dexter's Hannah No, Ayana McCurdy, and Hilma Medjidovich each added 14 points. The 1-1 Redhawks host Western Illinois tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, their annual Classroom on the Court game featuring nearly 2,000 school-aged children. Redhawks men's basketball embarks on a 2-city, 4-day road trip today that includes a matchup at Western Illinois tomorrow night. Then the Redhawks play Bradley Friday.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Sunshine today with a high up to 66 degrees. Mostly clear tonight, the low 43. Tomorrow, sunny and warmer with a high at 73. Clear tomorrow night with a low 50. On Thursday, sunshine with a high 76. Thursday night, mostly clear, low 57. And on Friday, a 20% chance of thunderstorms. And then showers likely with a high of 69.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right now on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Golick for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO, ESPN.
Redhawks Coaches Show live at Wings Etc. in Cape, and we invite you to join us for lunch. You can check out their daily half-pound lunch specials. Half-pound lunch specials starting at just $6.49. Good luck competing with that. Food and drink specials throughout the week, and that includes 59-cent wings on Mondays. They've got a terrific kids menu. So, Mom and Dad, this is the place if you'd like to bring the kids. Our kids love the menu here, and they're open 7 days a week and late on the weekends because a lot of times games run late. Want to watch some Blues hockey tonight? They will have it on the big screens in high definition. The Blues are in action tonight, so you can check out some Blues hockey. Or this Saturday, college football. After the Redhawks are done, you can watch some of the big games. There's a big basketball game tonight, Duke and Kansas. This would be the great place to watch Duke and Kansas. Wings, etc., good food, and great times. Drew Forbes, the Redhawks starting left tackle, is our guest here. Boy, Coach had a lot of nice things to say about you. That had to feel pretty good, though.
Yeah, it was nice seeing that I'm appreciated on this team, and I plan on playing out my next 2 years here and having a good time.
You know, you and I were talking. You went to North County High School. Jeremy McDowell was your coach for 3 seasons. Jeremy set all kinds of freshman passing records at SEMO here a long time ago, but I got to see him play when he was a freshman. Eventually, I had to retire just because of so many injuries, but he was a really good quarterback. Did he have some good war stories from back when he played? And he's a legend over at North County.
Yeah, it was neat seeing that someone that was that influential at North County in high school came back to coach, and he would also tell us about the big plays of college and how big of a transitional difference it is and what you have to do to be prepared to go to that next level.
So he was a guy that liked to sling the football around, but you guys did a lot of run first stuff when you were in high school, right?
Yes, we did.
What was that like? And as an offensive lineman, you probably would like to punch somebody in the mouth rather than go into pass block mode and let somebody kind of beat on you, right?
Absolutely, and that was our mentality at North County over my 4 years I was there, and it was obvious when I came here I had no clue how to pass protect. That was a big learning curve.
All right tackle, and then making the switch to left tackle. Some people say, you're just out there blocking. Different footwork, different schemes. It's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Absolutely. You got to know how to get in that stance. It's completely just backwards from what you were used to. And I wish I'd played left in high school just so it would have gave me a little bit more marketability when coming to SEMO.
So are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, right-handed. Does that help being on the left side, or did it work better when you were as a right tackle? Or does it even matter?
not too terribly much, but I do like it at the left side because if I overset a player who's a edge rusher and he decides to go inside, I have that catch hand there that can stop his rush.
All right, you've played the two. I think the three most physical defenses in the league are Jacksonville, UT Martin, and SEMO. I don't think there's any question. The numbers bear that out. Just the eyeball test tells you who are the physical teams in the league. Is that a mentality that you guys as an offensive line that you really rally behind? Is that a matter of pride with you guys that you want to be one of the most physical, tough teams in the league?
Absolutely. Going into Jack State, whether or not the outcome of the game, they were going to feel us the next day. That was the end goal, and that's instilled from the day you step on the field here.
What was up with how many times they jump off sides?
More than I can count.
Have you ever been in a game, maybe even in high school, where you saw that many times where guys would jump off sides?
I honestly, no. I think we just got under their skin so much. They're wanting to tee off on us, and that caused it.
How much chirping was going on? How much trash talking was going on down on the field? Because we can't see. You can see somebody's head, maybe helmet kind of bobbling. You could tell that they're talking to somebody. But down on the field, was there a lot of chirping?
Yeah, absolutely. It was more than your average college game. It was pretty loud and interesting down there on the field.
So what was it like to line up against Jacksonville versus UT Martin? Because two teams that are very physical. Compare and contrast going against these two defenses, which are, statistically as good as any defenses in the league.
I really liked lining up against UT because their rushers just want to take your chest, and being a bigger guy, you can kind of just shut that down. When someone wants to avoid you, you're trying to chase after them. They might get you off your center of gravity there. So I definitely liked blocking UT more than Jack State.
So what you're saying is they had a little bit more speed and athleticism on the edge with Jacksonville State than UT Martin did.
Absolutely.
All right. How about who is as good a matchup on the defensive side of the ball as you faced this year?
I'd have to say I think it was Jacksonville State's D end. I don't recall his name, but he was quick and knew how to get the best way to get around you.
Now, did you go up against Noah Spence last year for Eastern Kentucky?
Yes, I think I did for 3 or 4 plays.
How good was he? He's playing in the NFL now.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Really fast guy. I was just hoping I didn't mess up out there, honestly, as a freshman.
What was it like to get your name called as to be a starting freshman? Like we heard, Dante Vandeven won the Freshman of the Year award in the OVC. There aren't a lot of freshmen that are up for that award because not a lot of freshmen start at Division I football. You go right down the list. There aren't very many guys. I do the depth charts and prepare for every game, and it is rare, first of all, that a true freshman starts, and it's rare that a redshirt freshman starts. So you are certainly the exception to the rule. What was that like when you got the word that you were going to be a starter on that offensive line?
Starting on the O-line my sophomore year, that was something I just really wanted to take on and sign off with, do my best at, and I don't know how good I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm going to last a whole season, but whatever I'm going to do, I want to sign off on.
Now tell us about this arm wrestling thing now. Coach, mate, have you ever seen the movie, what is it, Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone?
So, yeah.
Where he puts the hat on backwards and is the great arm wrestler. Tell us about where did you become this great arm wrestler?
I don't know. I was talking to my offensive line coach, and he was asking me stuff about how I was brought up, and the only thing we could figure out that it was is that I threw hay and had that grip strength just to twist wrist and get him down.
So tell us about throwing hay.
It wasn't the most fun job I've ever had, but you can get some quick money doing that.
Well, when we were little, we detasseled corn. Do they detassel corn around here?
I'm not
you
sure.
Ever heard of that? Well, I grew up in Macomb, Illinois, and that was when you're 13 years old, your first job in the summertime, you got to get up about 5 in the morning and go out there with your jug of water and go out and detassel corn. It's kind of the same thing with doing hay.
Yeah, somewhat. You'd be out there all day just sweating, and at the end of the day, your hands are sore, but I guess it helps you arm wrestling. In the end.
What you're saying is you're country strong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what was it like growing up? Now, did you grow up in Bonne Terre?
I grew up on the outskirts, pretty close to a state park, but I didn't live on a farm. That's the way of life when you live in the middle of nowhere.
My wife is from Farmington. Her mom is from Bismarck, so it's kind of all right there in that area. Now that's arch rival stuff now, right? Farmington and North County. You and Roper and Ryder Garrett, we get some trash talking going when it's Farmington and North County.
Yeah, it gets pretty intense. My freshman year, I got to play against Roper some, and I had no clue how I was supposed to block him as a freshman. All big talk about Roper over at Farmington. But another neat thing is I got to play basketball against Roper, and there was a picture in the paper of me and him going after a rebound or something, and now we're on the same team. That's kind of neat.
All right, so, who was the better basketball player in high school, you or Garrett?
You'd have to ask him. I don't know. It was different. It was different times. I was 14.
What was your favorite thing about basketball?
Basically that in football, there's 11 people on the field. You're all in pads. No one's really the offensive lineman. You're not seen, and they're just kind of out there. And then in basketball, you kind of get to show your craft and show what you're doing out on the court.
Did you lead the team in rebounding?
Yes.
All right. Say that's a given. Now you're on the track and field team, right?
Correct.
Okay. What'd you do on the track team?
I threw discus and shot put.
How was that?
That was something I just kind of did to stay in shape. Not that throwing keeps you in great shape or anything, but it occupied my time in the off season.
Boy, that's one thing. People think it's all about brute strength, and you got to have strength, to be a thrower. But boy, technique is so big, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of athleticism that goes into those spins, especially on a discus. I've seen people just face plant that don't have their sense of balance.
And I guess it kind of trains you a little bit for when you move to the collegiate level, because it's not about just being big, strong, and athletic as a lineman. Technique is a major thing, right?
Completely. First practice I get here, Travis Sanders is one who's going up against me, and I was nervous, and I'm like, I'm just going to hit him as hard as I can. Big mistake. Push pull. I was on my face. So.
Toughest. What are some of the toughest guys that you've worked against in practice? Who when you're practicing against them, it's going to be a hard day of practice.
I'd have to say Josh Wilson, when he comes off the ball, he's got that just punch behind him. You just got to stop that, and he's one of the most difficult, I'd say, by far.
How much does that help you, though, when you go against somebody probably not going to see many stronger guys than Josh Wilson? Does that prepare you for when you go up against guys against Jacksonville and UT Martin?
I really think it prepared me for Martin because they had a similar build to him. I don't think they're necessarily as strong as Josh. He's a monster, but anyway, it definitely helped me prepare for those bigger edge rushers.
Because that is, that's the biggest line in the league. I mean, all three, their front three, they're all 300 pounds. I mean, there's not a 280, there's not a 290. They're all 300 pounds. That's a big line. Were they pretty strong? I mean, I know they're big. They look like they were pretty strong.
Yeah, they were strong. They were physical, and they kept, the biggest thing with them is they kept rushing and rushing. You'd think the ball may have been away or the play's kind of shut down, and that's how they get a lot of their sacks. We noticed that's one thing we game planned against is just keep on blocks, get as many double teams as you can to keep that pocket open.
All right. So what have you guys worked on with Jacksonville State? What's one of the game plans here? They're last in the league in sacks in conference games. They're dead last in sacks, and against the running game, they're next to last in stopping the run. So on that side of the ball, it has been a challenge for Tennessee State. Now they have a good offense, and I think their offense is kind of made up from some, made up for defensive deficiencies. But this is not a screaming pass rushing team like you saw with UT Martin or with Jacksonville State.
The biggest thing I think we're going to do to prepare is we sync to our training. We're not going to try to rise to the occasion to go and throw someone on the ground or get a crazy hard block, because if you do that, you can mess up, and then get a sack in the backfield or something like that. The biggest thing is we're going to get movement on the O-line, and then give Jesse as much time as he can back there to do what he needs to do.
You've seen Will Young rush for 3 times over 100 yards. What's that like as an offensive group of offensive linemen when you got a back that goes over 100 yards?
You love it. You just see that your job actually contributed to that, and it helps the team overall.
All right. Do you have a large family and friend base that is able to come? That's one of the cool things about playing this close to home. What are you talking about, an hour and 15 minutes to drive down to Houck Stadium?
Yeah, absolutely. I have family coming down. Some live up in Paris, Missouri. They make a pretty big hike down to come see my games, but I really enjoy that after the game, seeing everybody and seeing that they're still here able to support me and my college career.
All right. How'd North County do this year? How'd the football team do?
I don't know how they did exactly. I think they were much better than my senior year. We were 1-9. I think they were around.
That was after your coach left, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Jeremy McDowell, he got a college job, right?
Yes, he went to Colorado Mesa.
Yeah, so he moved on. But you could tell, I could tell when he was a coach at North County, you could tell, boy, if he wants to go and be a college coordinator or a coach somewhere, he was one of those guys that had the goods, had an opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. He had a high football IQ.
Is his they got a trophy case in North County? They got pictures of him?
I think they have all state plaques, and I think he's on one of those along with Will Compton. I've probably talked about him before.
Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, he earned a lot of accolades when he was at North County, Jeremy McDowell. All right, usually we ask the guys if they're on social media, maybe a Twitter handle, maybe we get you a follower or two. Mike Rennick likes to follow whoever we have on the show.
I'm not really big social media guy, but I think it's Drew_4BZ. I don't know.
4BZ.
Yep.
So you're checking it all the time, it sounds like.
Yeah, once a month.
Well, Coach Tuke's a Twitter guy, so we always ask. All right, so what's the thought process here going into the final game here against Tennessee State? You got a chance to send the seniors out a winner. I know that would be huge.
Absolutely. I want to do that for them, and I want to go and limit MAs, limit anything I could do that would keep from us sending them out on a good note.
All right. It should be fun. Tennessee State Tigers, they were ranked a little bit earlier this season. They'll be in here for a 1 o'clock kickoff. Drew, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Drew Forbes, Redhawks left tackle, our guest here on the Redhawks Coaches Show at Wings, etc. We're in the Jackson location. We'll be back in Cape's Wings, etc. location next week. We'll talk a little bit about the Redhawks' opponent coming up Saturday, the Tennessee State Tigers. When we come back, Coach Tuke rejoins us. Redhawks Coaches Show at Wings on SEMO ESPN.
About Wings, etc. See, Wings, etc. has those award-winning jumbo wings. They're popular for both dine-in and carry-out. Now, the word is getting out about Wings, etc.'s appetizer lineup. From the ultimate nachos to the deep-fried pickle spears, frankly, they're irresistible. Friends are sharing time together at Wings, etc. They've got dining rooms filled with HD TVs tuned to the best sports programming, including NFL Sunday Ticket. The people at the next table are talking about Wings, etc.'s daily half-pound lunch special, starting at just $6.49. Plus, Wings, etc. has food and drink specials throughout the week, including 59-cent wings every Monday. Plus, there's the kids menu, and Wings, etc. is family-friendly with video games in the dining room. And the whole community is excited about how Wings, etc. is locally owned and operated, and they're proud to support local athletes, their families, schools, and teams. I guess Wings, etc. is a really big deal around here.
Flu season is here, but there's something else going around that can be even more contagious, and that's hope. Rite Aid is committed to spreading hope, not the flu. In honor of all our customers who get a flu shot, the Rite Aid Foundation is donating over $1.8 million to more than 350 KidSense charities committed to the health and well-being of children in our communities. So come in today and get your flu shot. No appointments necessary, and it's free with most insurance. Rite Aid. With us, it's personal. Flu vaccines available while supplies last. Age restrictions apply in some states. See pharmacy for details. What makes the holiday? And no one makes it easier or more affordable to create a holiday card full of personality than Vistaprint. Right now, get 50% off all custom holiday cards. That means 30 cards start at just $13.99. With hundreds of stunning designs, your personality will shine through with every card you send. Just go to Vistaprint.com today and enter the promo code HOLIDAY to get 30 holiday cards starting at $13.99. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code HOLIDAY.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Sunshine today with a high up to 66 degrees. Mostly clear tonight, the low 43. Tomorrow, sunny and warmer with a high at 73. Clear tomorrow night with a low 50. On Thursday, sunshine with a high 76. Thursday night, mostly clear, low 57. And on Friday, a 20% chance of thunderstorms. And then showers likely with a high of 69.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
Well, dude, obviously you'd be better as the focal point of the show. Would I be better for society? No.
Don't miss Russillo and Cannell every weekday at noon on SEMO ESPN.
It's the Redhawks Coaches Show, live from Wings, etc. in Cape Girardeau. And in Jackson. We'll be back in the Cape Girardeau location next week. And we were just talking during the break. I think the show is going to move to Mondays starting next week. That is going to be our basketball show. So it'll be Mondays at 12 noon. So this will be our last chance with Coach 2 because we shift the basketball next week. I know you've got other obligations. Recruiting is big and, things. So this will be it for us. And as you get ready for Tennessee State, they got off to a really good start to the season. They were nationally ranked, and, they haven't had as much success in conference as they have out of conference. And I think the big thing is you just look at their defensive numbers. They're last in the league in sacks, so they're not applying a lot of pressure. And only Austin Peay is giving up more rushing yards per game than Tennessee State. So defensively is where they've had some issues, and they gave up a lot of points last week to Tennessee Tech. Yeah, I think the bottom line is they haven't been able to stop the run, so people haven't had to pass it, so you don't get the sacks. It all stems from their inability to get people stopped in the run game. And so I think also they got banged up a little bit because they were on fire there for a little while. And they're the only team that's beaten Martin. And they scored a game-winning touchdown with 18 seconds left because it looked like Martin had that game won, and Tennessee State made a play late, the only team to beat them. Yeah, their quarterback is just a playmaker. On defense, we'll have a good day if we limit the big plays. Half of their touchdowns have come over 25 yards or more. You think about half of your touchdowns have come over that. I mean, that's crazy. So their offense is not an offense that drives it, gets in the red zone, and punches it in. They are big play personnel. He's had an 85-yard touchdown run, the quarterback, and he's thrown a 90-yard touchdown run versus Vanderbilt. And so 10 is the key to us playing well on defense. And then the downhill run game is what I think we got to really focus on offense. We are who we are there, so it fits well. And then we got to do a great job catching the football and staying away from the turnover. They're putting up a lot of points, Coach. In conference, 32 points per game. Only Murray, Jacksonville, and Martin are scoring more points than them on offense. So offensively, that's where they've kind of made up for some issues on defense and maybe some injuries on defense. Yep, absolutely. And I think it's the big plays. Also, you can say whatever you want from stats. They didn't play Jacksonville State and they hadn't played us, which is the number 1 and 2 scoring defense in the conference. So that has something to do with it. But they got our attention. And for those who don't know, well, what do you mean Tennessee State didn't play Jacksonville? Well, the way that it works with Tennessee State, they get special rules in the conference. They play a lot of these classic games with other, schools from the South. And they play them in neutral venues like the Liberty Bowl, like the Georgia Dome. I mean, they play in big venues, and that's a big gate for them. They make a lot of money with these particular classics. And so by playing a full conference schedule, it would take away one of those classics, which helps their athletics department. So they've been granted an exemption. Every year they play one less conference game than everybody else. And every year one team cycles off their schedule. Last year, I believe it was you. Yep. And this year it's Jacksonville State. So it's kind of an odd quirk. You don't see that. I mean, it's kind of it's like the Tennessee State exception. You don't see that with leagues around the college football landscape very often. Yeah, last time we played was in Houck. Yeah. So they've had to come back to Houck. So it's interesting, to have that kind of situation. But they do a great job. They have a great recruiting network, and so their rosters are really good. And certainly, it could go either way, and so it's a great game for us right now. And their quarterback, as you mentioned, his name is Ronald Butler, and he's been their quarterback for several years. I mean, he's a veteran guy. He's a senior now, and there are only 3 quarterbacks in the league who have more total yardage than Butler. I mean, his total yards, 2,321. He's thrown for 17 touchdowns, but he's also run for over 300 yards. So that's the definition of dual threat quarterback. Yep, exactly right. That's the thing we got to do a good job with. Austin Peay's quarterback got out on us on a run play. And so that's something we're really focusing on. We got to keep him
in the pocket. If it's third down that breaks down, that's probably when I'm going to be the most concerned, because he can get out there, and we got to do a good job of having people there, the rush lanes, all those things, and just making sure we don't let this guy loose in the secondary.
Is that the most frustrating thing for a defense or a defensive coordinator or a coach, that or demoralizing, when you have everyone covered, you get a good pass rush, you did everything schematically perfect on defense, and then the guy takes off and gets a 25-yard run?
Yeah, or moves the change. That's kind of just a buzz killer for the defense. You're playing well, obviously, to get them to third down. You get everything stopped. You think you're going to get off, and the guy makes a play. So, and that's what he's done. I mean, he has really extended plays. He's extended drives with his legs.
Well, every year you have to say goodbye to a group of seniors, and this is year 3 for you. So these guys have been with you for a little while and have helped you laid some bricks here in this foundation.
Yeah, I know they've done a lot for our program, and I really appreciate this group, and bought into what we're trying to accomplish, and we're going to celebrate them and enjoy them, and hopefully when we do finally turn this thing, they're going to take a lot of pride in the fact that we did because of the what they've done for us. And so that's my message. We have our banquet Sunday, and really we have that banquet for our seniors to just celebrate them, and they've done a lot for us.
All right, 1 o'clock kickoff, and I have not looked at the weather forecast. How's it looking?
It's going to be a little windy, a little chilly. I think the hunters, all their prayers finally kicked in. All these hunters are bitching about this sunshine, and so I think they're going to get that cold weather this weekend. So I think it's going to be in the 50s.
You don't mind if a few people wear hunter orange to the game, do you?
No, not at all. Go get up, get early, get that buck, and then get to the house.
Come on over for the Redhawk Walk. It will be at 11 o'clock, and the opportunity to come out and play one more game here at Hawk Stadium. I'm guessing the mentality for the football team is, man, senior day is a big day. You want these guys walking off that field, because it's interesting every year after the final game. I'm usually one of the last people to leave because, we're breaking the equipment down, and there are always a few guys out still on the field after senior day, and it's always seniors, because they know the last time they walk off that field is probably the last time they walk off any field.
Yeah, that's why I think the message and the concepts all week long is going to be about SEMO, not Tennessee State. I think this game's about SEMO. This game's about the seniors. It's about us coming together, not about Tennessee State. A lot of times you get caught into what Tennessee State does, so what we have to do, but really, want to just do a good job talking about us this week.
All right, now when the season's over here after the final game, I know you've got a lot of things to do in terms of wrapping up the season, but how quickly are you out on the recruiting trail? Pretty quick, right?
Yep. The NCAA rules that Sunday after Thanksgiving, we'll have 10 guys in cars going all over the country, and I stay back to, I'll start meeting with the seniors, make sure what their graduation plans are, what are they doing after graduation, NFL wise, agents, all those things that you got to deal with, and then go to the juniors, sophomores, and freshmen and just meet and put away the season and talk about next year. And then we'll start bringing our first official visit be December 2nd.
I know your focus now is on Tennessee State, but we won't get to talk to you next week. So you think you got a chance to have a couple of guys in NFL camps? Maybe Alex Knight might be a guy that is at least going to get a look from the NFL?
Yeah, I think the NFL, decides. I don't really know what it is they look at. I think people or a lot of the scouts that have come in really have talked about him. I think they really like the fact that he's left-footed, which I never realized was such a big deal in the NFL right now. But we'll see. So hopefully a lot of our guys get an opportunity for their pro day, and people show up and at least get that opportunity.
All right, 1 o'clock on Saturday, Tennessee State Tigers will be in town. We'll see you over there, Coach. Thanks so much for your time this year. That's Coach Tom Matukowicz, and that is going to be our final football coaches show of 2016. Thanks again to Drew Forbes for joining us, the sophomore left tackle from North County High School. And he'll be on that offensive line trying to win the game on Saturday against the Tennessee State Tigers. Again, it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. And don't forget about the women's basketball game tomorrow. It's 11 a.m., so make plans. It's the Classroom on the Court game where they'll have they're hoping for 2,000 youngsters at the Show Me Center, and hopefully it'll be a big win over Western Illinois. And again, that is 11 a.m. tomorrow, Red Hawk women and the Leathernecks from Western Illinois University. Redhawks beat them at their place last year. That'll do it for us. You've got Rosillo and Cannell coming up next on ESPN Radio. We'll be in the Cape location next week, and it's going to be on Monday at noon. Coach Rick Ray will join us, and we'll talk some Redhawks basketball. So long, everybody, from Wings.
Southeast Missouri's